Hello and welcome to the first official facecheck.co.uk video podcast. Facecheck aims to provide you with videos of all Fantasy Flight LCGs, including Star Wars, Call of Cthulhu, Game of Thrones, Conquest and most prominently Netrunner, as well as dive headlong into some miniatures games including Imperial Assault, X-Wing, Malifaux and the Batman miniatures game. I'm Barry and this is my first attempt at an online video series. Today I'll be playing on Jinteki.net and demonstrating my noise deck that came top 8 at Bring Another Brit to Worlds in Reading yesterday. It's an aggressive mill deck which uses FOSS to get in only if absolutely necessary. So here I'm just setting up the game. Jinteki.net is actually very simple to use. Based in your browser, you don't need to download any software to make it work. I'm playing HB, Engineering the Future. They get a credit every time they install for the first time each turn. I've chosen to keep my hand even though I've not got Wildside. I think HB tend to go for an early asset advantage with Eve and Adonis campaigns. Hacktivist Meeting will hopefully slow them down slightly there. They have to discard a card each time they raise something that's not ice. Additionally, I've got Aesops, which will get the economy engine going, and Clot to stop any fast advance via biotic labour. Quite a good opening hand, however, there's many parts that are missing to make my deck work, and we'll see if I can get them up and running in time before I lose. As I mentioned, this is a mill deck more than ice destruction, no server is safe type noise. I tend to play somewhat solo noise, which I know a lot of people don't like. I have had to step it up though, and I've removed the two Crypsies for Faust. Faust is the new AI breaker, gets you through any kind of ice except Swordsman and Touring, and instead of credits it uses cards. Now with Wildside you tend to have an abundance of cards in your hand, often duplicates of what's already down, perhaps an extra Wildside, another adjusted chronotype, possibly even another Aesops. As such, it's not a huge tempo hit to go running. You don't lose a lot of money, which sometimes you don't have a lot of. With the noise decks, you can't get too attached to any single card. Here I've just sold the Gravedigger for a 1 credit profit. The Gravedigger itself is a virus. Noise forces the corp to put a card from R&D into archives whenever he plays a virus. I've now just made a run on that first remote and come across Susanoo no Mikoto. Only a single subroutine there, forces the runner to go to archives instead of the server they were running on. Now I could have broken it and got in, however it cost the runner, the corp, so much to res that I decided I'd have another turn at it. They couldn't score whatever was in there. Also quite handy going to archives there to see an Edge of World. Seems that this deck is importing a fair amount from Jinteki to try and kill the runner. If they build up a massive server and get Edge of World in there, taking a lot of brain damage to access. So I just finish out my turn by drawing, taking a lot of money. Next turn I'll probably inject, hopefully get a few extra cards, and then probably go see what's in that remote behind Susan. So I inject and draw into 3 new cards, which is great. I burn a cash, which would be a bit of money, but I'm not too upset about that. I choose to install Hacktivist Meeting before running, just in case the corp reses something that's quite nasty. They'll have a downside to it. I also think I'll run on R&D first. If I can force them to res that ice, then I don't need to get past Susan this turn again either, because they won't have enough money to score the agenda. I find the Adonis campaign on top, I leave it. I don't have enough money for it anyway. But since they didn't res, I decided I better go and have a look at what's behind there. They seem quite determined to keep me out, and I would like to know what what it is. So Parasite's going to do nothing on Susan. It's strength 7. I might as well bin it for strength. Misclick and break the subroutine before matching strength, but I soon realise what I'm doing and boost my strength up to 7 or 8, which gets me through. Depending on what this agenda is, will tell me a lot on what type of deck he is. If it's an accelerator beta test, where if you score it you get to install any ice you find in the top 3 cards of R&D, the rest go into archives. If it is something a little more substantial, it depends on what it is. I'll have to have a think. So ABT was looking for an early rush. Getting a lot of ice out early would certainly slow me down. However, I not necessarily have to run, but I can't fall behind to these fast decks. So that was definitely a case of where I had to run with Faust. I'd like to know what's in server 1, but I'm not going to make a run on it at the moment. No clicks left anyway. I'm presuming it's perhaps a Jackson, and he's just prepared to shuffle cards back in. As I'm particularly broke, however, I can't do too much about it. I'm guessing he's put the Adonis behind the Susan there. I'm not going to run it. He knows I could get in. I could draw, run. But whether that's money or a trap, I don't want to see it. And I don't think he put another agenda there quite so soon. I've drawn into a David, which will get me through Susan. Just realised, talking about them like the people, David and Susan, quite the combo, power couple. But I can't afford to install the David and run, and as I said, I don't actually think it's an agenda, and I don't want him to know that I have the ability to get in quite cheaply there. So I'll make a run on R&D, see if he can res. Again, perhaps just slow him down from scoring if it was an agenda, but I was right enough in my assumption, and that's an Adonis. So now he's going to get money, and I'm not going to contest it. I don't really care. I'm a little bit behind on my setup at this point. I've not seen a wild side. I've got no money. I definitely don't want to sell Faust. And I've got no viruses to install. So I'm going to have to draw up and find a cache, grimoire, wild side, and get myself set up. So his turn here, he's installing a card on top of the Susan there. I have seen a Fenris on top of R&D, could be that. If it was, it would take a fair number of cards for me to break through that if I didn't want to have a brain damage. Fenris is a strength 2 sentry, it does 1 brain damage and ends the run. Or is it a code gate? I can't remember. And it take a lot of cards to get through. So I draw up and I finally find some viruses, I think. Cash, get some money back up, and then I'll obviously sell it to Aesop as well. He's put out another remote. I think he might be trying to sneak something by me, so I decided to run on it. Turns out it was the Jackson. I don't know what's in archives, but he obviously felt it was worth it to pop on. And then start my next turn, I'll sell cash to Aesop and get 3 more money. There I was starting to think that server 1 was also Jackson, put out early. Probably going to go look at that in a bit. I don't want to be milling too much, just if he can put it back in. However, getting 2 Jacksons out of the game this early would be quite a good start for Noise, especially as I've not seen a great deal of my viruses. So my deck, once it gets going, has the equivalent of around 11 clicks in a turn. You get 3 credits from selling something to Aesop, so that's 3 clicks. You get 2 cards for Wild Side Adjusted Chronotype combo, that's 5 clicks. I have a single auto scripter, which will give me a free install for 6 clicks, and Rachel Beckman, which gives you me a 5th click. So 6 plus those 5 would give me 11 clicks in a turn. With that, you can have some potential to power through 4 or 5 cards from R&D in a single turn. Once you've got imp out as well, if you want to run R&D, you could also imp things away and just really put the pressure on for the mill. As it happens, I'm still broke. I don't have any of my engines set up, so deja vu for some more money, and this is kind of the beginning of me getting into it. Now I could have installed the auto scripter there and given me an extra click this turn and subsequent turns, but the downside of auto scripter is if you make a run that isn't successful, you have to trash it. At the moment I'm not super confident of getting in anywhere if I have to run, even with Faust out, so I've not yet installed it. Once that's out and all the other combo pieces are set up, generally I'm going to be playing my own game until I can get into archives for hopefully 5 points is all I need now. So another another 11, 12 mils on average should get me the points. Obviously with that time, however, they will have shored things up and make it much harder to get into archives. So I finally got another bit of the combo up and running. Wild Side Adjusted Chronotype. At the start of my turn I'm going to get to draw 2 cards for free. Ordinarily I'd lose a click with Wild Side, but Adjusted Chronotype gives me that click back, which is one of the most powerful combos at the moment out of Anarch. You'll hear it referred to as pancakes, as the lady on the Adjusted Chronotype art is flipping pancakes. In fact, is it a lady or is it a Bioroid? I'm not sure. So he's now used up all his money from Adonis and installed in that remote. Install Advanced, which is enough to bait me into thinking that it's a 3-pointer, a 5-3, so I'm going to go get it. I install David, which gets me through the Susan, and then I run and click 2 in case it's a Bioroid ice there that I can click through. As it turns out, it's that Fenris. I can get through it by binning 2 cards. Hacktivist Meeting's a no-brainer there. There's already one up and running, and probably get rid of Levy, which I do. That gets me through. I'll then be able to use a David token to get me past Susan, and I'll see what's in there. If it is a trap, then well played, and I'll eat whatever brain damage happens. But here the corp makes a mistake. They think that the tokens on David are virus tokens, and they res and pop Cyberdecks. Now resing Cyberdecks forces them to discard a card from their hand for Hacktivist Meeting, and I had no virus counters out. The power counters on David is not a virus, it's not even a breaker, it's just a program. And it was indeed a 3-2, which puts me up 5-0. So the last 2 clicks I'll draw up and then use Deja Vu to bring back more money to my hand. I'll also get 2 new cards at the start of my turn. Having binned the Levy, I've now got a same old thing in hand. I've only got 1 copy of each. If I ever end up tagged and my same old thing goes, chances are I won't be able to get the Levy off. I don't know how it always happens, but it seems as if Levy's within the top 7 cards of my deck every time, and it just clogs up space. So it usually gets binned at some point, and I rely on the same old thing to save me. When that doesn't happen, I run out of steam and I need to rely on other methods. mostly losing. I'm not going to pretend. So I was just having a little chat with my opponent there, thinking that David tokens were virus tokens. So mistake resing the Cyberdex. I wasn't expecting the Cyberdex, but now I need to respect the fact that it's in archives, and if I run on archives, that'll trigger and I'll lose all my viruses. Still, I only need 2 more points for the win. However, I'm quite far ahead here, and I know that he's going for the kill. Or going to try and kill me at least. There, I think he's probably installed the Edge of World. I believe he Jacksoned that back as one of his choices. And so I'm not going to run on it. Here I take the opportunity to get set up even further. I've got a single Scheherazade as well, on which I'll host pretty much everything. Scheherazade reduces the cost by 1, or returns the cost by 1. If you have no credits, you can't install something. You still need to be able to pay for it, but then you get 1 back. So here I am quite well set up. I do need cards. Yep, draw there, just in case I have to get into somewhere next turn. Even with the 2 free cards, Faust can eat them up as you break through some of the ice. He almost instantly reveals that the card in that remote is a trap, resing Shellcorp, because he must feel it's relatively safe. Could be a bluff, but as I said, I already pegged it as that Edge of World, and I wasn't going to run it, especially after installing a 3rd piece of ice. There's no way I was going near it. So start of turn, just sell, cash the Aesop, get some more money, install my Grimoire, and then get money back. Took a Gravedigger. I'm now kind of set up for money, don't need it so much. What I need to do is put some more pressure on for milling. Gravedigger lets me do that. It's here that I noticed that AutoScripter is not actually working. It doesn't give me a click back for the first program I install. So I inform my opponent, take the click back, and also install Gravedigger. Maybe a mistake to install Gravedigger and not use the token on the same turn, but not the end of the world. Should he purge and I lose that one mil. There's a few things broken on Jinteki.net at the moment. Bad pub will just stay in your credit pool after the run. So if you run 4 times and you have 2 bad pub, you're making 8 money. Have to keep an eye on that. And it seems AutoScripter's down as well. Previously it was working fine. They're probably trying to add a few of the spoiled cards from Gen Con, Data and Destiny, World of Tomorrow, and the rest of the current cycle. The good thing though is that all the change notes are logged. You can see what works, what doesn't, what they're working on. You can contribute as well if you have skills in that area. I know FFG is not a big fan of Jinteki.net. Their digital offerings are quite lacking for a number of their games. I don't necessarily think it hurts myself. I own everything. I attend a number of tournaments every month for all of their LCGs, and I find that being able to test on something like Jinteki.net during my lunch hour at work really helps improve my game, or just lets me play something a little more fun instead of something for those tournaments. So I decided to put down the same old thing. As I said, I've only got 1, and with the levy already in the bin, I can't afford to take a net damage somehow and lose it. So there I've installed Parasite, but I didn't get the click back for AutoScripter, so I'll just have to do it manually. And then draw back up. Consider using I've Had Worse there briefly, but decide to keep it. Again, playing a little conservatively because I know that he's trying to damage and probably kill the runner, which is me. Round about here, I've pretty much decided just to mill him out. He's not looking like he's going to score. If he does, I should have so many cards in archives at that point that I'll be able to get in and should seal the game there. The worst thing you can do as the corp is to not pressure noise into running and trying to get at your agendas. If you do let me play my solo game, then that's exactly what I'll do, and I become increasingly efficient at it. I've been playing noise pretty much exclusively, except for fun, since probably a little before Cash. Cash? Yeah, when Cash came out, I can't remember what pack that was in. I took up Netrunner February 2012. I went to London Regionals May that year. I took Noise next. I actually got Creation and Control before the core set. Made the next design deck. I thought this was the greatest thing in the world. Why would you not want a whole free turn or 2 free turns? You get to install 3 bits of ice. You get to draw 3 cards. This is amazing. And I've played Noise and Next at a disproportionate number of tournaments, just because I can, really. When Cash came out, the pure virus version started to make sense. I ran a number of mass installs, ASOPs, clone chips, and really went for the mill. Wasn't quite there yet, however now it is pretty strong, in conjunction with ice destruction and actually being able to get into places. You'll see a bit of a noise apocalypse at the moment in the meta. Nobody's really running what I'm running, and I don't really blame them either. But I'm having a lot of fun with the deck, and whilst it does come down to a bit of variance, whether you get lucky with your mills or not, it is quite a solid deck. He's installed over the top of what I presume still was that Edge of World, in Server 0. I'm now guessing that that's actually an agenda, but with only 9 cards left in R&D, I no longer care. I'm almost certainly going to mill him out, even if he can Jackson twice. I've still got 10 cards in my stack. I can levy, which I think I actually do now. Yeah, no real need, but sets me up, and I draw into Hades Shard. I can pretty much win whenever I want, but I will go for the mill. I don't want to lose this on some sort of stupid death. As it turns out, in server 1 there was an ABT this whole time. The runner fires it, which was a mistake. With 8 cards left, you're getting rid of 3 of them. There's a lot of cards in archives there, and not hitting ice, trashing 2 cards, not helping your cause any. I draw into more viruses. I'm just going to keep going with my plan to mill them out. There's no real need to risk anything. It doesn't make for particularly exciting Netrunner, but sometimes you have to do just that. Stick to your game plan, play the game out, and I wonder if I can get them down to no cards here. Probably not. He's going to draw one at the start of his next turn, have 2 cards left. I'm going to aim for the mill after that. You see there that I just drew turntable, and I've already got a Grimoire installed. The problem with this deck sometimes is you end up quite far behind. If the corp knows that they're quite safe, they can score out 3-pointers quite easily. But you need to rush out the viruses to get them into archives. Then on the power turn, you would sell Grimoire to Aesop, install Turntable, install Hades, and pop it, and hopefully swap some of the 1 or 2 pointers for their 3 pointers, which should be enough for the win. And it's sometimes a surprise for the corp. They're thinking, oh, there's only 5 points in archives, maybe a little dangerous, but he's not going to win. And you can turn that around into the win. I did manage to get one game like that on Saturday, just yesterday, but it's not the primary win condition there. So now he's installed Advanced. I assume it is an agenda, but again, I just don't care. I'm going to click on Gravedigger, mill his last card, and then GG, hopefully. I'm not sure if you'll recognise it as it happens, but I think I install Hades as well, just in case something goes wrong. But at this point, it's a foregone conclusion. You can't advance a Jackson, and as soon as he has to draw, he loses the game. Now it does seem... I thought I drew a faust after installing Hades, but no, I got that for Wildside. I ended up popping the Hades shard. While Jinteki.net might kill me by accident, I know I can access an order of my choice. I win the game there, and that's pretty much it. So that's kind of how the deck works. I'm glad I didn't have to run into archives there with the Janus on it. The deck is reliant very much on the Wildside draw. If you don't have that, very, very difficult game. Luckily it was a slow early game and managed to still claw the victory. Anyway, that's the first one on the official channel. We do have a Twitter and Facebook set up. I'll start tweeting on those and following and speaking to people on there. If there's anything in particular you'd like to see, please do let us know, and I'll see what I can do about getting a video up on the channel.